Ah. And we're live. Live. With the two staff working today and nobody else at Starbucks. There's absolutely nobody here. Hopefully the sound is good, everything's good. Good morning to everybody. We'll get started in just a moment. It's gonna rain today for sure. In fact, there's a 70% chance of rain, so what does that tell you? We got the manager working and we got Miss Tian working. And like I said, nobody else in the place. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the reopening October 1st, the reopening of Thailand, possibly without quarantine by January, the lifting of the government decree, and also we have to talk about the Thai police and Mr. Joe Ferrari. Great article on the BBC's website. We'll talk a little bit about him. And the good thing is that it gets into a little bit of how things work with the police, which I'm always interested in. You know, you think you know. If you've been here a while, you think, this is how it is. There's corruption, there's this, there's that. But the article's pretty good, so we'll get into that in a little bit too. Before I get started, I want to say thank you to all those people who help support the channel, whether through viewing or financial means. Thank you very much. You can leave a thumbs up, you can subscribe, you can join the channel. There's a button down below. There's also a button to get a t-shirt similar to this. I got about, I don't know how many I have now, maybe 6 t-shirts, 7 t-shirts, a couple of mugs. You can become a Patreon patron. There's always PayPal. There's the CASHAPP, which not that many people are using these days for some reason. I still like it. It's a good service. Yeah, that's about it. So before we go on any further, let me give you the weather, because in Thailand the weather's important. It's very, very hot and muggy now. 82 degrees, 82% humidity. So that should tell you something. High of 84, low of 77. The feel-like temperature right now, 9 o'clock, is 91 degrees. The air quality is 50, which is okay. And the winds north-northwest, 7 miles per hour. Visibility is 6 miles, and the UV index is at 4. So it's, these are the kind of days where if you're going to go out, you go out really early, and then it's not going to be cool for the rest of the day or for the rest of the night until late at night. And it is going to rain. Let me tell you how much it rains. We put our garbage cans out in the front of the house. Sometimes they have garbage, sometimes they don't. I came back yesterday. I went from the stream with Longhorns at Sarni's. After I did a few errands, when I came back, I come back to the house, and the garbage cans, all 3 of the garbage cans were full with water. They're not tiny little garbage cans, they're big garbage cans. They're full of water. So it rained really hard, and a lot of rain. Anyway, as long as you don't have a leaky roof, which I no longer have, that's fine. I like the rain most of the time. Anyway, don't know if you guys know, but October 1st, now this is a bit ludicrous, but starting October, yes, I am in Starbucks. What's happening, Soy Dog Cowboy? Starting October 1st here, I don't get this, but then again, there's a lot of things I don't get, and I'm sure it's not important whether I get it or not. People coming into restaurants, they're reinstating the regulation where people who come into restaurants have to be fully vaccinated. which prompts several questions. And also the staff have to be fully vaccinated. There's somewhere around 15% of the population is fully vaccinated. The first thing is, how on earth are they going to implement this and to check on it and make sure that everybody is abiding by this guideline? They have no chance of doing that. They can have all their police forces around the country going from restaurant to restaurant. They would never even come close. So this is kind of an honor thing. Although maybe if there's some computerized, well, I know there's an app, it's like Thai Save Thai or something like that. Maybe that way they'll be able to check, and if you've got a restaurant and you're not showing people coming in, I don't see how they're going to be able to check on everybody, but it's not the first time that they came up with some harebrained idea. The last time that they implemented this, or they tried to implement this, they quickly backtracked because everybody who is working, if the staff is working, they were supposed to have been fully vaccinated, and they were supposed to have a test once a week that said that they were negative. That's a considerable cost if you've got a large number of people working at your restaurant, and it's a considerable cost no matter what. So they don't have that, not from what I see. That's been waived. However, if you're a patron and you want to come into a place, you either fully vaccinated, not one of Moderna or Pfizer or anything like that. If you look outside right now, the wind is picking up and it's going to start raining, I'd say, in the next half hour. What you have to do is you have to show a test, which means if you're showing a test like the rapid antigen test, how are they going to determine when that test was taken? Because there's no paperwork. What are you going to do? You're going to have a receipt that's going to show when you bought it? So they have no way of checking on that. And I've talked to several people, including the guy who runs the place here. He's like, it's impossible. There's no way they can do this. So I think it's like many things in Thailand. This is a facade. It's for show. Hey, look at us. We require everybody to be fully vaccinated to come into a restaurant. Now, if everybody was to abide by this, let's say that everybody was completely honorable and they decided to uphold this guideline and abide by this guideline. You got less than 15% of the population fully inoculated. How much business is that going to generate for these restaurants? Next to none. I mean, even now, look now, anybody can come in. I'm the only person sitting here. People don't want to go out. They don't care. They want to know that everybody's vaccinated and things are safe. And to be quite honest, I don't think that they believe in their government. I just think they don't believe in the leadership when it comes to this this virus and the vaccine. So they're in a bit of a quandary because they're trying to open up. Well, they said they were going to open up October 1st, and they're hell-bent on doing it. And as I said many months ago, I said they're going to do it, and it's kind of funny that things, I don't know, maybe they just predicted it accurately, but it's funny that things are dropping off here. The numbers are dropping off here right around the time when October is on the horizon. So is that science? Did they know this? Did they predict this? Maybe they did. But there's still a lot of regulations that people have to go through. Now, they want Thailand, the tourism ministry, which their desire does not mean diddly squat with regards to whether or not this is going to happen. They can want it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to pass. They want the country to reopen fully without quarantine by January, but this will depend on vaccination efforts. According to a Bangkok Post report, Pipat Ratchakitprakan is citing herd immunity as a condition for the reopening. Well, they're supposed to be fully vaccinated by about January 1st. If you look at, what is it, COVID Vax or COVID Live or something, I forget the name of the website, but it does predict that around the end of the year, first of the year, next year, they're going to be fully vaccinated here. Bangkok's reopening has been delayed from October to November. No, it hasn't, not really, as most residents are still waiting for their second vaccine dose. However, Pipat said the reopening of Chiang Mai, Chonburi, Pattaya, and Prachuap Khiri Khan can go ahead on October 1st. The central province of Phetchaburi is also set to reopen on the same date, but Pipat says officials need to accelerate the development of standard operating procedures first. All right, so I don't know that anything's really changed aside from some of the numbers have gotten better. There's a few more people vaccinated, but it's not like they're at the end of they've reached the end of the tunnel and now it's like, okay, there's bound to be light when they open the door. I don't think they're there. I think they're still way back in the tunnel and they just see a little glimmer of hope and they're running at it. They're hoping that it's going to work. And I sure hope it does work, because just the fact that I get to go out and sit here in Starbucks, I got the place to myself, which is pretty cool. You know, well, you're going to have to for a while. You're going to have to for a while. Now, let me continue here, because there's a few things I wanted to get into about that, and it has to do with the COE. We need to propose that Soy Dog Cowboy, thank you very much. Hope you're well. KO, yes, KO, knock out. I like those little things. I think you're going to have insurance for a while, but let me go on. We need to propose that list to the Center of COVID Situation Administrator in order to allocate a proper amount of vaccines for them in time. Now, here's the thing. This CCSA may be done away with at the end of this month, because there's a chance that they're going to lift the emergency decree. Pipat adds that in event some parts of the country are not achieving the required vaccination level, sealed route schemes could be put in place instead of fully reopening. I don't agree with that, but you know, if you're going to go from one place to another, like this is the problem of us going to Surat. The problem is that you got to go through other provinces, and each province has their own requirements. Okay. Only safe areas can reopen to Thai tourists on November 1st, while international tourists are expected to enter without quarantine from January, led by travel bubbles with neighboring countries starting on January 15th. Pipat says that the fact that Thailand has been added to the red list in many countries does present a challenge. You would think. I mean, forget about Australia for a while. Forget about the UK for a while. Okay, you got the United States, but you know, Thailand's on the red zone or whatever, on the red list. Where else? There's all kinds of places. However, he's hopeful that declining infection rates could see the country removed from the high-risk list later this month, as Thailand is still recording daily caseloads of more than 10,000 and was downgraded to the red list for some target markets. The number of tourists this year might not exceed 300,000. It's terrible. However, if Thailand can return to the safe list this month, there are promising signs. In the last quarter, we can hope for 1.2 million travelers, which is 2.5% of the norm. I can only imagine what it's going to be like to go back to some of the places that I've been going for years or that I've been to several times, and they're just gone. They're not there anymore. You know, if you guys remember, there's in Chatuchak Market, there's a paella restaurant that has paella, and man, it was the best. They had this little Spanish guy. What was his name? Francisco. Francisco. He was out in the front, man. He whipped up the buzz. There was music playing. He's dancing. He's a big old rotund guy, and he's just happy and jolly and getting people to come in. Food was fantastic, and then the last time I went, I don't know if I was streaming or not, but maybe somebody remembers, but I went there and the guy had sold out. He sold his business, and there were a couple Thais running the place, and the flavor wasn't the same. It wasn't as good. And my wife just went there and she goes, that place ain't gonna survive. I said, what do you mean? She said, there's absolutely nobody there. She goes, I had one of the paellas just because I wanted to try it out, and the Thais were running the place, and she said, it just didn't stack up. It's just not gonna cut it. She doesn't think they're gonna last, which for CASHAPP, that's important. On the weekends, it's important to get plenty of people, and they obviously now they don't have that many international tourists, but you go from 40 million to 300,000. That doesn't bode well. So here's the deal. The government has said to be considering lifting the emergency decree, which is at the end of this month. It's supposed to last until September 30th. And that would mean the closure of the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, a top security official said on Monday. They're making the necessary preparations. If the decree is not extended, the Communicable Disease Control Act would be used to manage the COVID-19 pandemic under the auspices of the Public Health Ministry, which means under Anutin. Every time I hear about the Public Health Ministry, I worry here. Really, I do, because you got a guy who, all right, he's got power, he's got some influence. By now, he probably is starting to learn the ropes, but he's not a medical professional, and maybe he defers to medical professionals. Who knows? I just don't. I would prefer if there was someone a little more in the know of, like a virologist or somebody like that, not a politician. But I don't think that's going to happen. And the reason is because this is how things operate here. The most qualified is not always, is it raining yet? The most qualified person is not always put into the position, obviously. The end of the decree would also mean the end of the CCSA, which was set up under the decree to handle the coronavirus situation. The ministry was responsible for fighting disease outbreaks before the decree came into force. Some groups felt uneasy about the use of the decree. He said the use of the Disease Control Act under the ministry would be enough to control the spread of the virus. Protesters have accused the government of using the decree for political purposes to prevent them rallying against the government because it prohibits people congregating in public. The whole congregation in public, I understand if they're saying, 25 people, 50 people, okay, I understand that. But 5 people? I mean, it's like, okay, so if I go out with Longhorns and my family comes around, there's 5 right there. So if we just happen to bump into one of our buddies, then what? Five people. It's, so you can't go out and play a football game. You can't go out in a park and meet a group of people and have a picnic. There's all kinds of things you can't do. Lifting the degree is expected to be on the agenda, and this is on Friday. They're going to determine on Friday whether or not they're going to do away with this. So that's only a couple of days away. It'll be interesting to see, because the thing with the emergency decree is it gives unfettered power to those in charge. Not that they don't already really have it if they want it. The only thing stopping them is not really the people, but the opposition parties are the ones who stop these leaders, such as Prayut, Anutin, Prawit, and all these other. They are the ones who counterbalance each other. But let's see here. Something else that they're talking about is with this October opening. They're talking about the vaccine passport, and people are they're complaining about it already. They don't like it. A lot of people don't like it. And it's like, why on earth do you have to have a passport to come in and eat? I mean, at some point this has to be stopped. And I don't know what the answer is. I mean, it's a difficult situation, balancing true safety against freedoms. And here, freedoms are not valued quite as much as they are in the West. It takes a lot more to get people to act. You know, I'm trying to think of this and how it could work out. Because why on earth would a restaurant need to know about every single person that walked in? First of all, they're going to know your name. Not everybody wants to be known. They're going to know your name. They're going to know, you know, what kind of vaccine you have. Oh, you got the Sinovac. Sorry, I don't want you here. I don't know, and I certainly don't put it past any government to use some kind of an app to gain further information. So, you know, it's a fine line. I'm trying to think of how you can get around it. And, you know, maybe what you do is you say, listen, if somebody gets the COVID and they say they got it, let's say that I get COVID from Starbucks, I'm not allowed to sue them. Maybe that's something that they could do. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm interested in knowing. Because I don't particularly like, you know, like Longhorns and I were talking about it. What if you just don't want a goddamn phone? He doesn't want a phone. He got his tablet. He doesn't have a phone number. You know, it's very difficult for him to do some things, but for the most part, I understand it. He doesn't want to be linked in with the rest of society. And, you know, are we at a point now where you just don't have a choice? You're going to have to, whether you want to or not. If you want to live, you got to be connected. I mean, what do the people living on the streets do that don't have a phone, that don't have any money to keep up the account every month? I mean, what are they going to do? Well, you can't come into a restaurant to eat? So yeah, I'd like to know you guys' thoughts on this, and then we'll get into, once we're done with this, we'll get into talking about the Thai police and Joe Ferrari and you know, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the other day, China was the Chinese embassy in Thailand was complaining because the critique of the Sinovac were hurting relationships between Thailand and China and hurting Chinese offers of help during the COVID-19 crisis. Could be referring to the general public's apathy towards Sinovac doses and its anger that the government wasn't doing more to provide different vaccine to Thais, or it could be both. It says the Chinese diplomatic staff noted that every vaccine dose supplied to Thailand was a token of their friendship and sincerity that Beijing extended to the Thai people. Listen, I don't think they do anything based simply on friendship. And, you know, the other thing is, and this is what this article here, which is off the Thai Inquirer, says, Would you like to explain to the public why Sinovac doses cost more than other vaccines that are far more effective at fighting and preventing the COVID-19? And not only that, why did Thailand pay like 25% more, approximately, than places like Indonesia and the Philippines? Why? Well, yeah, that's another thing. And listen, anytime you have the elderly involved, old people die. That's just a fact of life. Listen, if you hear me, if you hear that I keeled over one day, now, 59, I think, well, it's a little too soon. But let's say in another 10 years, even 5 years, but 10 years, 15 years, you hear I keeled over. Well, that's what happens when you get older. And some people just, their genetic disposition is that they're going to live to be 120, and maybe they lived right, they lived right and healthy, and they did everything, and they still might not live all that long. But, don't be surprised. That this is the thing. Don't be surprised if somebody who's 80, 90 years old passes away after they take a vaccine, after they get injected. It's no surprise to me. It's no surprise that they get, if they caught the flu and they had a really bad flu and they were, what's the word I'm looking for? Blanking out. See, I would sit here, if I was writing, I would sit down and think about it for quite some time. Compromised. If they were already compromised and they were already unwell, and then they got the virus, but to me, I don't think it would matter if it was the flu or it could be anything. This is what happens. And so that's why I do think it's a good thing that they're going to reopen, because if they don't reopen, what they're going to have is a hell of a lot more violence in the streets. That I do believe that. If they don't reopen by the end of this month, at least some kind of a token gesture where they reopen, I just don't see anything else. I think the only thing that's going to play out is that there's going to be a lot of violence. And I tell you what, I haven't gone and I thought I'd go back and forth thinking about covering the protest, and really every day it's the same thing now. There's not all that much violence right now. That can change in a moment's notice. But really, it's the same thing every day, and internationally, I don't think anybody really is all that concerned. Nor are they all that interested. Maybe long-term they're interested, people that are traveling to Thailand. You see, this place is still empty. Do you even see any staff? Empty. So no one has any ideas. Okay, so what is the answer for Thailand, who they don't want? See, I just think that what's going to happen eventually is everybody's just going to, I think that the answer is to go, fuck it. That's the answer. Fuck it. What are we going to do? Hey, you know what? You don't stop up everything for the flu. And I'm not comparing this putting them in the same light, but it is an illness. The flu is an illness. Sometimes, some people get a flu and it really affects them, and sometimes they don't. But I think sometimes, especially because of the media, they make a mountain out of a molehill. And I'm not saying that this is something to be trivialized, but I think at some point you just have to go, hey, what are we going to do? We've tried to do everything we can. You want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. How about there's a law that says whether you're vaccinated or not, it doesn't matter. You go wherever the hell you want. You're responsible for yourself. I think, you know, eventually it's going to get to that point, and probably sooner than later. I'll tell you what, I didn't think that they were going to open even like this in October or even November. And they proved me wrong, which is why you never underestimate Thailand. They always, they do, their logic is illogical to me. Their logic is not what I would consider to be normal logic. It's Eastern logic versus Western logic. All right, so I'm curious. There's nobody out there. You got 72 people watching, and nobody's talking about this. I think. Good morning, Gennaro. I think that this is pretty important if you want to come to Thailand. They're not talking about doing away with some of the guidelines to come in at this point. I haven't seen anything about the COE or the insurance. I haven't seen anything about the insurance being eliminated. I don't know how they can justify that if they're saying, well, if you're fully vaccinated, you can come into the country. Oh, but by the way, in case you do get it, you're going to have $100,000 worth of insurance. Because there are a lot of people who, they want to stay here for not 1 week or 2 weeks. They want to stay here for 6 months or a year, you know. For instance, Longhorns, who, you know, basically now when you go into immigration, they ask, what is your, on the application it says, what's your reason for wanting to have an extension? And you just put down COVID. And that's it. He already got an extension, and now he got another extension for 60 days. And I believe there have been several other people that have gotten extensions. Hey, Charles. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, Niall, how you doing? This is something else. It's like, okay, so you're gonna have to take a test, or you're gonna have to be fully vaccinated to get into a restaurant. What about my kids? My kids haven't been vaccinated. I don't want them getting vaccinated with Sinovac. You know, I don't think they probably even need it. But you know, this is the thing. They've set up the society to where you're going to have to do what they want, or you're not going to be able to live like a normal person. Why would you have to vaccinate to go and have food at a restaurant? Either the restaurant is open for business and you can go in and you make sure it should be ventilated properly. But think about all the little shop houses in China. You think they give a shit about these rules? I can tell you they don't. You know, there are places that were on my block. There was a lockdown and you could go and sit in there. Vax passport. Yeah. This is what we were just talking about here, is that they're going to have, oh man. There is talk of having a digital passport here. I believe the name of the app that I saw was the Thai Save Thai, which I've never heard of until yesterday. You can have a vaccine or a negative antigen, but how useful is that when they don't know when you got the test? What are you going to do? You're going to show the test right in front of them? You're going to take the test in front of them and go, okay, here we go, I got tested. See, it doesn't make sense. Logistically, it doesn't make sense how all this stuff can happen. I'm trying to think it through and it just doesn't compute. Yeah, that's the other thing. Well, I mean, you know, here I'm like, okay, I think it's as simple as you need to have a phone. You have a phone, you have the app, you scan in, it scans your information, and if you're in the system, you're in the system, and you're okay, then you're okay. But if you're not, if there's a problem, like they have with the MawProm app, then you're not coming in. You know. Yeah, but see, here's the thing. That's a QR code for you, for your country. A slice of lemon if you're upper class. That's all it takes to go upper class. I think I'll spring for the lemon. You know, I'll tell you what, I must not be upper class because when I have tea, I used to have it in the UK when I'd go there. When I was staying in London for a couple of months, I stayed there for a couple of months once. And I was staying with a guy, British guy, and we used to have, what was it? Was it PG Tips? PG Tips, and a little bit of milk, and a little bit of honey, every night. And McVitie's digestives. We got customers, we got staff, we got customers, we got staff, we got more customers. Really busy here, blowing up. I mean, think about it. This place is less busy than the place yesterday that we went. Twinnings, yeah, I mean, I like that stuff too. I don't really care. I'm getting ready to go out for lunch. She's coming over to pick me up at 10:30. Ah, nice. Well, I thought, how does that work? How are you doing that? I thought she's locked down or whatever. She can't come out to play. I thought it was a 2-week lockdown, or is this somebody else? Is this a clean applicant? So you're going to risk it with her. Well, you're vaccinated. So, yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting. Let's hope she's negative. Simply because you don't want her to have to be locked up for 2 freaking weeks, and she's like, I don't feel sick at all, I'm fine. Why are you locking me down? No beer here, no beer. The beer is not here. Beer, no here. And there is a guy that works here named Beer, and she's changed her name. Beer has changed her name to Ba Beer, and I'm going to tell her to change it to Bad Beer, because she has that jacket that says Bad Girl. Yeah, well, so does that mean you're going to have a little private time? A little private consultation time with her, Longhorns? Everything works out. I'm sure she'll work it out for you. Yeah, you know, this is the thing with the getting over here and everything. I wouldn't want to do it all on my own. I mean, you know, Longhorns did it. I think Niall did it by himself. You know, it's like, yeah, I could do it, but Jesus Christ, what a hassle. Oh, I got to make sure I got the proper insurance. I got to make sure I get everything done and the timing is right. I've got to get a test, and then I've got to get 2 more tests, and then I got to get another test. See, that's the thing. I don't like to be bothered with all that bullshit, which, you know, what's funny is that my father, I've asked him to come over here. I've asked him, yeah, exactly, you know, so, oh, where's the ventilation there? I asked him, you know, I asked my mother, oh, is he going to come too? No, are you kidding me? He's not going to get on a plane. He doesn't want to have to go through that hassle. And you know, he doesn't want to travel for 20-something hours. And I was like, well, I guess, you know, but now I understand it. I understand it a lot more. Well, I think it's good to wait. The longer you wait, you know, you just be patient about it. I know there's guys out there that are like, they're dying to come over here. And I got my girlfriend. You know, I told this story a while back about the guy. You know, I'm paraphrasing now and trying to remember everything, but there was a guy who, he came every year to this this little bar, a beer bar on Soi Bangla in Phuket. He came every year, and he had there was a girl that he had for a couple years running. And every year he came and she waited on him hand and feet. You know, he was an old guy. He didn't have his, his equilibrium was bad. He was, he was older and he just was a little bit physically screwed up. So she would take care of him and everything. And the guy, he's desperate to come. He comes. He was the guy who he came to Phuket. He didn't even go to his hotel room. He bought his he brought his bags to the bar. Brought his suitcases to the bar because he couldn't. Good morning, Dalla. Because he couldn't bear to go to the hotel and waste all the time at the hotel because he was staying at a nice hotel and it was a bit far away from Soi Bangla. He didn't want to go over there and then come all the way back. And I guess in the interim, he fell down and cracked his head open. So he went to a clinic or a little hospital over there, gets his head wrapped. He's got a freaking head wrap around his head because he got cracked open. He's got stitches in his head. He still didn't go back to his hotel. He goes into the bar. He's got his suitcases there. He's got a wrap around his head. And it's, oh, my darling, I missed you so much. There's no need for that kind of impatience. I'm sorry. Let it build up a little bit longer. I mean, doesn't make sense to me. All right, we got more customers coming, and you can see that it looks more and more like rain, with a 70% chance of rain. I dare say it's going to rain directly. Rain is coming directly. Anyway, listen. It's great we can talk about all this, but there is something else we wanted to talk about today. There was a great article, and I'm going to read at least some of it from the BBC about Colonel Titisant Uttanapon, also known as Joe Ferrari, an apparent reference to his expensive tastes. Now this is the guy who he was seen in a video putting plastic bags around the head of a guy who was accused of dealing drugs, methamphetamines. Now I gotta say, if you don't deal methamphetamines, you never have a chance. Well, your chance of being arrested and being covered up in bags is very slim. So there's a good reason not to deal meth in Thailand. But he was probably desperate for money, which I believe it said somewhere that he was. He really needed the money and didn't know what he was going to do. The guy was 24 years old. The suspect eventually died, we know that. However, Joe Ferrari denies demanding a bribe, although the lawyer for Joe Ferrari says otherwise. When police raided Mr. Titisan's luxury, I'm just going to call him Joe Ferrari, it sounds much better. When they raided his home, they found a dozen high-priced cars. Customs Department believes he owns 42 cars. What do you do with 42 cars? Start a car dealership? One of them was a Lamborghini Aventador Anniversario, of which only 100 were made. How does a guy that's making 3,000 baht a month afford that kind of a vehicle? That begs the question. Now, what I liked about this article is it talks about how they go about doing how about they go obtaining their wealth, which is a lot of guys who don't have much money, and they're shrewd, they get into the police force and they work their way up. They know how to game the system. They know what's expected of them. This is not to say that all police are the same. Although I think, if you know anything about cops, they stick together. Chama? Huh? Had he not decided to put 6 plastic bags over the head of the drugs suspect, had he not failed to disable one of the CCTV cameras in the room, or another officer had not decided to send the video from the camera to a lawyer, little more might have been heard of Joe Ferrari. The police took him to the hospital, and they insisted he collapsed during his arrest. Investigations of abuses by the security forces in Thailand rarely go far. You can bet on that. It's just like in the U.S. government. If the president does something, they can cry all they want, and most of the time nothing's going to happen unless his name is Trump, and then they'll try to impeach him. I can't wait. I have to say this. I can't wait until Nancy Pelosi retires, and I don't care how she does it. Just get her out of politics. I don't care how it happens. I don't want to wish any ill on anyone, but man, she needs to be out of politics. She's every time I see her face and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's, I just think of all the people that they bullshit. Well, in this article, it does make reference to the fact that the Thai police is set up like the mafia, where payments go up to the boss. Joe Ferrari's dramatic rise and fall tells us a lot about the Thai police force. The popular image most Thais have from their own experience is of bumbling, low-ranked officers engaged in petty acts of extortion and self-enrichment. This belies the reality of an institution which has long had an essential role in the opaque power networks which run the country. This is why many ambitious young Thais see the police as a quick route to success and wealth. Now, I gotta say, maybe this has happened to some of you guys. If you're stopped by a police officer when you're driving a motorcycle here and you don't have a helmet on, they don't issue a ticket. Most of the time, they don't issue a ticket unless you demand one. They say, give me 500 baht. Or at least, I don't know how much it is now. It might be 1,000. I don't know. But I got shaken down in Udon Thani many years ago. Like 22 years ago, 23 years ago. Maybe longer than that even. 25, 26 years ago. Didn't have my helmet on. The guy stopped me. It's like, hey, you got something for me? It's 500 baht. And that's it. It's done. Oh, okay. Gave him the 500 baht. And I think then it was 300 or something. And that was the end of it. And that's what they do. So that's what they're talking about, the low-ranking officials, this kind of stuff. It's like, it's that time of the month again. The cops need to pay their rent. If they're not staying in the dormitory. The cops need to pay their rent. It's, they're loosening up a little bit, and the higher-ups want to get some money, so they let the lower guys do their thing. Just paid 500 in Patong, no helmet, but all the other riders had none either. Exactly. Well, it's a matter of, timing and, luck. Police have long been central to Thailand's political power structure, which is a little bit scary because they have preserved it, armed and legitimized as a domestic enforcement agency of the palace, the army, and for people, a power for people. In return, they are allowed to operate endless extortion rackets with impunity as a sort of legal mafia. As a result, Thailand often discovers Joe Ferrari type cases in the police. Mr. Titisan was born into an ordinary family in Bangkok, but he won a place at the prestigious Armed Forces Academy's preparatory school and went on to the Police Cadet Academy, graduating in 2003. Former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra chose the exact same career path. Both institutions enable students to make important connections with future military and political leaders. From there, listen to this, from there, Mr. Titisan went into the narcotics suppression unit in Bangkok, and then for a period in Narathiwat in the deep south, near the notoriously porous border with Malaysia. Policing the huge illegal drugs trade in Thailand is known to be a rich source of illicit funds for officers. At some point, Mr. Titisan also got involved with confiscating luxury cars, which is another lucrative operation. Well, I don't really drive him anymore either, even though sometimes I want to. I want to drive like a real motorcycle, not a little tiny, Honda Dream. But what I wrote about and what I've said many times is that when corruption works in your favor, you think it's great. Oh, well, I'll gladly pay it if I don't have to go to court. However, when it works against you, that's a different story. Thailand imposes taxes of more than 300% on supercars like Ferraris, Rolls Royces, and Lamborghinis, for which in a country with plenty of billionaires, there is a large market. I have to say, I know a guy, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I know a guy who made substantial amounts of money after I got to know him, and he moved. He made quite a bit of money, and he owned like a couple of buildings, and he had, I don't know if it was a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, but I do know that the cops came around every so often, and they wanted a payout. So being high profile here, especially as a foreigner, you don't know all that many high profile people that haven't greased a few palms. Let me go on here. This has created a substantial business in tax avoidance, either by bribing customs officers to report a much lower value for the cars, or describing them as parts or partially assembled. Some are stolen in other countries and smuggled in. Confiscated cars are auctioned, and until recently, the police and officials were paid finder's fees of around half the value, netting well-connected officers millions of dollars. See, that's just... where do you go? What I was going to say, I could easily judge this, but this is their country, this is their method. And while I don't agree with it on many levels, it's their country, it's their method. I have nothing to do with it. If I was involved in the system, I would try to game the system. I don't have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, though, so I'm not worried about it. Thai customs officials say Mr. Titisan confiscated 368 such cars since 2011, which could potentially have earned him around 400 million bahts. Think about that. That's like, what, $13 million approximately? In 2009, he married into a wealthy family, posting pictures enjoying high society events with his new wife. Then in 2014, he made headlines by proposing marriage to a high-profile actress in a videoed ceremony, going down on one knee. My God, man, with a large bouquet of flowers. First of all, why would you do that? I guess he wasn't powerful enough to get in touch with her and to meet with her face to face. When challenged over his existing marriage, he said he had left his wife, but the actress refused him. In 2017, she told the Thai media, listen to this, he had promised her 230 million baht in cash. That's like what, $7 million? $7.5 million? So, listen, since it may be a thing of the past in some families, but in some, you want to get married, you're going to have to pay. He has most recently been in a relationship with another well-known television personality in northern Thailand, where Mr. Joe Ferrari, his last two postings were. With his flamboyant lifestyle and conspicuous taste for luxury cars, he made no effort to hide his wealth. After all, many of Thailand's most senior police officers declare millions of dollars in assets they could not possibly have accrued on their regular salaries. Yeah, so what does that mean? It means if you're smart, you become a politician or a cop in Thailand. That's what you do. I need to recommend that. You want to get a job in Thailand, become a cop or a politician. This is a bit obscene, the amount of money. And you know, why see, this is the thing. This money could be going towards the government. This could be going towards the government, and it could create some kind of a welfare state for the people. People who actually, now maybe he needs to earn a higher salary. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It would seem so. If he's the head of the police in that area, you would think he would earn more than 43,000 baht. But then again, even Prayut doesn't really. He's not making all that much money. You know, the same could be said for the President of the United States, although he makes a little more respectable amount than some of these guys make. These guys are making peanuts, so what do you expect? It's rife for corruption. This year, Forbes listed a recently retired deputy police chief, Wirachai Songmeta, as the 36th wealthiest man in Thailand based on a substantial energy business his family owned and ran for many years. Even while he was rising up the ranks, top policemen can expect to move into other lucrative senior positions in politics or business. Getting rich in the police is easy because in a country where law enforcement is, to put it politely, flexible, there are endless opportunities to make money. There are so many that I can't name them all, says Major Chawalit Lauharamanpan, a former police officer and now MP in the opposition Move Forward party. Let's just say that for anything that's illegal, the police can ask for bribes to turn a blind eye. Even for ordinary citizens who come. Here's the thing. I don't know if I should. I know somebody who got themselves in a little bit of trouble. They owed some money. And there was a guy that went to his apartment and said, if you don't give me the money, I'm going to kill you. This is years ago. And I knew the guy. He's, you know, and he called me, was upset. And so I called the police and I said, hey, there's a guy over there. He says he's going to kill this guy. Okay. I said, I'm going to go over there right now. And, you know, can you send a police officer over there? Man, I went over there and I waited and waited and waited. They never showed up. Cops never even showed up. I gave them all the information, where to go, what the guy's name was, and everything like that. And they didn't even show up. And I didn't think, oh, well, you know, I'm going to have to tell them, you know, it's worth 10,000 baht if you go over there, or, you know, 20,000 baht, whatever it is. Even for ordinary citizens who come for help, like those who need the police to hunt down a culprit for them, the police also ask for money in the form of the cost to proceed with the case. But doesn't the government pay for that? So how is it a cost to proceed with the case? Remember, lower-ranked police officers then have to pay their bosses to ensure they rise to a position where they can make even more money. You got to be a good earner. One of the lawyers who received the leaked video said Mr. Titisan, Joe Ferrari, was heard demanding a substantial bribe while suffocating the unfortunate suspect. Well, this is why I tell you, Gennaro, and this is why I say, I hate to say this wherever Andrew is, this is why I say, you know, you can, from the exterior, Thailand does appear in many, not everywhere, like Bangkok. I wouldn't say Bangkok looks like paradise, unless maybe you can consider, you know, Nana Plaza paradise. But, you know, like even, let's say you go down to some beautiful beach in Samui or, you know, Khao or somewhere like that, you know, Phuket. Let's say that you think, oh man, this is the most beautiful location. It's paradise here. Yeah, okay, it's paradise. But then if you ever have any problems and you need the police, or the police come asking you questions because they suspect you of something for whatever reason, you'll see how how it can quickly turn from paradise to a nightmare. You know, most people will never have a problem. It's kind of like getting hit by lightning. If you're not doing anything wrong, you should be fine. Which is why I always say keep a low profile. And as I was taught long ago and told, never put yourself in a position of disadvantage here. If you can help it, don't put yourself in a position of disadvantage. Because if you do, you're just asking for problems. If you go into a nightclub at 2 in the morning and the club's not supposed to be open, and you know you're on the ecstasy, or you're smoking weed, or you know you did some coke or whatever it is, all it takes is them to run a drug test on you. Boom, you got drugs in you're busted. It's the same as they found the drugs on you. You know, so. Got to be careful. Who do you call? Ghostbusters. Seriously, you should be able to call the police. I don't remember ever calling the police when I needed them. Either police just showed up. Yeah, police just showed up. That's kind of what happened. Or they just didn't show up, which also happens quite often. You know. Anyway, as I said yesterday, there's quite a bit to do now. Now that things are open, and you know, today's the 7th, so there's still, anything can happen in the next 24 days. They could rescind their guidelines that state you're going to have to be fully vaccinated to get in, because I think that they may wise up and go, well, how on earth can we safeguard against the restaurants just saying, I don't care what they say, I'm letting anybody in. And then if they're so concerned with the numbers, well, yeah, I don't know how it is in the United States, but I know that, you know, there have been many cases around the world where, you know, it's like you call the police and they just don't show up. I don't know. There have always been police on the take, and there always will be, whether it's here or elsewhere. I'm getting back onto the restaurants thing. So I'm, you know, in the next 3 weeks, three plus weeks, anything can happen. They could change it, and it's just like, oh, well, we're not going to worry about it. But I don't know how they're going to justify, you know, how do you justify the flip-flop? Because just a couple of weeks ago, you know, they're talking about we got to get them vaccinated. We got to get people vaccinated. We're not going to open up until we get this place is vaccinated and we got herd immunity. And now they're talking about, well, we're just going to open up. I mean, I understand they'll learn to live with it, and I think, yeah, we do need to learn to live with it because, you know, most people are not going to die from this. A lot more people coming in now. It's starting to pick up after 10 o'clock. The grocery is open. Good morning, senor. Good morning, good morning. Let me show you something over there. You notice they don't care if people don't sign in, but they do care if you don't check your temperature. You know, being asymptomatic, though, I would think that, what does that really matter? Yeah, that's another point there, Dallo. It was a great article in, I forget what it was, The Atlantic, I think, talking about how, is there any difference now between Australia and China? Because imagine, you know, you're told you can't even leave your own country and you can't come back. Wait a minute, I'm a citizen of the United States, I can't come back? You know, I would understand if I had something like Ebola. Okay, if they're going to transfer me from, say, here, let's say I got it here and they transfer me from here to the United States, well, they better have the right kind of people to deal with me. They better have an evacuation transport that is set up to negate any transmission of the virus. But even that is a long shot. But I mean, in Australia, it's, listen, I hate to say it, but I wouldn't go to Australia now. I ain't going there. And I thought, you know, listen, it's getting time. You know, in the next couple of years, I want to go there. You know, my mother's been there, and I haven't been there. I'm like, all right, it's time for me to go. But now I'm like, no way. I'm not going because I know if cops start doing, start getting shitty with me. You know, I'm not going to appreciate. I'm not going to do anything. I just be like, okay, whatever you say, sir, whatever, because I don't want to go sit in jail. But this is the thing: if you do something, you know. Think about something. I walk around in Thailand. Yesterday, I was sweating my ass off walking around, and so was Longhorns. There were a couple of times I pulled my mask down. I'm like, there's nobody around. I'm pulling my mask down. I don't, you know, nobody's going to run up to me and say, you're going to jail. Nobody's waiting to ambush me outside of Sarni's if I walk out. You know, so yeah, this is not a good precedent for a Western country. I mean, you know, Western countries are, to me, they're losing their freedoms. People are losing their freedoms. And you know, all right, I'm older, but what about my kids? What about their kids? What about the future? And you know, like after a while, I get tired of thinking about it. And that's what the governments expect. They know that people are busy doing what they have to do to survive. Most people are just doing what they have to do to survive, and they may bitch and moan, but after a while, it's like, hey, what can I do? I can protest. I can complain. Okay, well, you're going to go to jail if we catch you. Then you're going to pay a shitload of money, and some people can pay it, some people can't. But you know, listen. It's not that there are still some great things out there to do and everything. But I think that for now, these authoritarian. Oh, okay. Oh shit. Okay. All right, Carlos. Yeah, please do. I think they're taking it too far, and I think eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be, a crackdown on protesters, and a lot of people are going to get hurt, and that's going to really set them off. Or it's going to go the other way, and you're going to have like the only way that protesters, and I'm not talking about necessarily in Thailand, I'm talking about everywhere. The only way they can win now is doing guerrilla tactics to try to overthrow things. And even that, the only thing that would do is maybe it precipitates meeting with people and discussing what's going on. I think, that's the only thing it's going to do. You're not going to shut down the military or the police force by doing some random bombings. But you may be able to bring people to the table and to be able to discuss things and make some changes. But who trusts the government now? I don't trust any government. I think they're all full of shit. And I know that might be a little bit over the top, but I don't trust any government at this point. Anytime I hear someone speak, it doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, whatever they are, independent, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Most of them, I'm like, they have an agenda. And, sometimes it's an agenda for the right reasons. Sometimes it's just their own personal agenda, which, it might not be for the right reason. But I feel for the people in Australia. I mean, like, what is the chance? $5,500. Jesus, that's ridiculous, man. And what if you don't pay? If you just go, no, I refuse to pay. I want to take it to court. And the court says you must pay, and you go, no, I'm not paying. They're going to throw you in jail. Now we got two other people sitting in here besides me. Both are wearing their masks, even though both of them have drinks. We both have drinks, they're both wearing their masks. This is the thing too. Oh, I'm gonna go into the restaurant, I'm just gonna wear my mask. Be chewing food inside of my mask. It's gone beyond stupidity at this point. If they want to check your temperature, really, I like the ones where you just walk in. You don't have to do anything. You just walk in, and there's a big sensor. It detects your temperature. Why do I have to even lift my arm up for them? Not to sound like a prick, but I mean, why do I have to lift my arm up and get myself checked? Why do I have to show anything on my phone? I don't want to show them anything on my phone. I mean, that's the truth. I don't want to do any of this stuff. But yeah, well, there you go. There you go. I try not to think about this too much, but what else are you supposed to do? Sometimes I think, hey, you know what? I'm going to go cover the protest because that'll give me something else to think about. I can think about photography. It'll get me out of my head. It'll get me off the internet sometimes and seeing all this news coming out. You go to a protest to be able to, so that's not really a good thing either. And the weather is not great right now. As I said yesterday, Longhorns and I were talking about going to some place, some old venue or something, maybe at some point to Chinatown, also to the fruit bowl, summer bowl place, one of those places where you get the acai, the nice fruit. But, to me that's kind of just, I'm supposed to feel fortunate because I get to go out to a little coffee shop. I'm supposed to feel so lucky. I don't want to feel lucky about that. I'll feel lucky if I win the freaking lottery. That's luck. That's luck. I win the lottery, okay? Or, I win a brand new car or something like that. I win a camera. That's luck. Luck is not, oh, I'm so lucky because I get to go and have a coffee now. In the coffee shop. I get to go have food in a restaurant because I got 2 shots in my arm. When you think about the ludicrousy of that. Yeah, see, I can do that. I don't have any problem, you know, I mean, here, most of the time I can do that, but when I want to go out, when you want to go somewhere, you're like, damn it, I want to go. Why can't I go? You know, and I just saw a video earlier about the papers. Do you have the papers? Can you show us your papers? What era are we living in? The more I think about it, the more irritated I get. The more irritated I get by it. Oh man. And I'm laughing because I don't know what else to do. Longhorns, are you listening in the background, preparing to go have your little date, your little get-together? Yes, I did, Carlos. I have a piece of paper, which I scanned into my phone and also onto my computer, and it has a little QR code on it. And if you hit that QR code, it will take you to the whatever it is, the Ministry of Health, their public health, their website, and it will show that you've had both vaccinations. It will show, like for me, it's green because I'm fully vaccinated. For some people who have like 1 shot, if it was say, it's starting to rain now. Oops. Rain coming. It shows a yellow page. See, to me, that's screwed up. It's like, we're going to make it mandatory. I saw American Airlines is doing something like that. I didn't read into it, but I saw American Airlines, you know, issuing an ultimatum or something like that. Well, see, the problem is we all say this. Oh, this is so fucked. This is so shitty. This is so this. This is so that. And then it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do about it? I'm not going to go to your restaurant. I'm only going to go to restaurants that don't make me scan in or something like that. All right, you know who this is? Gennaro. She got her hair down. What's going on? Let your hair down. That was Preo. I haven't seen her hair for a long time. She always has her hair up. So I'm sure she'll put it up before she comes out to work. But yeah, we're screwed, man. We're screwed because what are you going to do? It's kind of like, this reminds me of Hong Kong. It's like, all right, you can go out there and protest. You can yell and scream. Same thing in Thailand. At the end of the day, what's it going to accomplish? Unless you're really willing to fight and give your life. Hong Kong here, and some people did give their lives in Hong Kong, and people over the years have given their lives for Thailand and democracy here. But really, unless you're willing to go to that length, any serious change seems to be a dream. Because the governments, they know now it's so difficult. It's so difficult to make any change. It's like, okay, so what are they going to do? Ha, we got them. It's like, look at what Biden does. I don't like the question. He just walks away. He didn't even say anything. Thank you, I'm done. Yeah, but you didn't answer the question. Yeah, what you have to do is, and I've said this before, you got to bend over, act like you like it, and take it up the yin-yang. And, you know, while some people might like taking it up the yin-yang, I'm not one of them. You know, I kind of expect a little bit of freedom. And in Australia, I would have never thought this would have happened. So you have to check in see, like here, I never want to sign. Man, I had the app on my phone once. I used it like one time, and I went, that's it. I took it off my phone. I was like, bullshit. I took it off. She's a moron, and I mean, she's smart enough to think, I want to get into government. I'll give her that, but she's irritating. And you know, as I've been told by several people, sometimes when you're irritated by people, you need to just take it in and accept that their opinion and their way is different than yours. Which I understand, you know, I mean, I'm not completely obtuse. Anyway, it is what it is. You know, it's you want to do business. I mean, here's the thing: if a shop doesn't need to have any paperwork and they can just open up, like let's say in parts of you know, in African countries or you know, South American countries, wherever, they just open up. You need any paperwork. Even in Thailand, they do it. But many times now they have to. They're under the control of the government. The government says, this is what you do, this is how it is, and you know, you're lucky you get to vote for the two people that we have. Give us a good leader, man. Give us some leader that truly changes the world, and he knows how to do it. He knows how to lead people. I want to see that. It ain't gonna happen. It hasn't happened in centuries, it's not gonna happen now. Building sites even have QR codes. See, what is this fascination? They're not going to get rid of it. They're not going to get rid of this virus. It's like saying we're going to get rid of the. You're only allowed to go shopping once a day. Oh my God. Yeah, that would bug me. That would irritate the shit out of me. But as older guys, you guys aren't running out there, you know, with big posters that you're willing to hit the cops over the head with, and out there running around protesting. Because, you know, first of all, it takes a lot of energy. Well, listen, I'm not one of these people. I saw something the other day. Oh my God, you know, this guy, he's unvaxxed. He's probably a Trump lover. Now, this was a guy who hated Trump. I'm like, listen, I like Trump over Clinton, but I'm vaccinated. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. So there is not always a correlation between, you know, you are a Republican or, you know, a conservative, and I can't wear the mask because I'm a Republican. Listen, I think Florida's done pretty damn well from what I know and what I've been told, and I know, you know, a dozen people in Florida that I talk to pretty regularly. And they seem to be just fine. Now, California, on the other hand, I don't know, you know. And I lived in California for 15 years. 13 years, something like that. I don't like to call myself a follower, but I like to think that I follow decent logic. And like I said before, many times I've said it, is I like to think, you know, what is risk and what is the reward? How is the risk? Calculate the risk and then determine if it's worth it. So, like, for me to go out and would I ever protest with ties? Hell no. Why? I got no say in there. I got no what is it? I got no dog in the fight. What is it that they say? What's that saying? Yeah, I got no dog in the fight or something like that. I don't. It's none of my business. You know, when I got my wife and kids are like that, and I don't want my kids going out protesting. I mean, Now, if it was something that I really truly believed in, and I really felt it was super, super important to get it taken care of, and every man was needed, that'd be a different story. I did think Hong Kong was very important, but I didn't think no skin in the game, no dog in the fight, whatever. But yeah, no skin in the game. No skin off my back. Takes me a while to figure things out. Janara, you're missing out here, buddy. You're missing out. $33 thumbs up. Please remember to leave a thumbs up. Subscribe. Consider making a small contribution in one form or another. Tune in whenever you get the chance. And, well, you know, chunky chicks need love too. At the end of the day, we're all trying to make it to the end, being as happy as we can. And I think that this is a 2-year period, almost 2 years now, where it's hard to be as happy as, you know, we possibly can when you got all these kind of restrictions. It feels like, I don't want to say this and have it taken the wrong way, but, you know, it almost feels like we're beholden to the government, and we shouldn't be. You know, it's not like we really need to be beholden to this government. Time for a short black. Yes, I have to finish my first coffee here. A bit bitter. I tell you what though, after having this coffee and having the coffee over at Sarni's, man, if there was a Sarni's over here, I would not be sitting at Starbucks all the time. I have to say that Sarni's, the food and the coffee are a cut above this place. You know, this is the schmegdonald's of coffee. Sarni's is a little kind of boutique place. And, you know, again, I'm not sponsored by them. They didn't, like, you know, they haven't done anything for me or provided any, you know, free bags of coffee or anything like that. I just like the place. It's good. Good coffee. And the other one is Daniel's Rotisserie, Artisan Rotisserie. That's the one Jono turned me on to. Very good everyday coffee. Better than the coffee here. Which is not terrible, but it just isn't that good. It's just, it's okay. It's predictable. So. Thank you very much there, Dowlo. Choke D to you. Choke D to everybody. I want to do some. I want to do something good. I want to do something epic. But I got to make some money. You know, really. I don't mind doing these streams, like, you know, in Starbucks or my house or walking around once in a while. Not as much as I used to. I don't want to do the walking around as much as I used to, but it would be nice to go somewhere that's epic. McDonald's coffee here is generally considered good, although I won't have McDonald's coffee anymore just because I found cockroaches in my cappuccino. I can't justify going back. Just like I don't go to Black Canyon Coffee anymore. They have, when I used to go there, which is 18, 19 years ago, they had good food and their coffee was okay. And then it was me and my wife sitting there. I told the story a million times. Me and my wife were sitting there. There's nobody in the place. It was completely empty. She makes her order. I make my order. You know, 20 minutes later, she gets her food. We're like, okay. The staff is standing around giggling like a bunch of little school kids. And, you know, like after 35 minutes, I'm like, hey, you're almost done with your meal. Where's my food? And, you know, after like 45 minutes, they came back. They went running in the back. Oh! They come back out. Sorry, we forget. You forgot me. How did you forget me? I don't like to be forgotten. Not when I'm in a restaurant where, you know, like, hey, I'm paying my money, just give me my food. I disagree with the Amazon. Sorry. Amazon is cheap, but their coffee is not very good. It's acceptable. It's tolerable. But it's damn sure not as good as Sarni's, not as good as... There's been a couple of places I've been to. The one place, what's it called? The Summer Bowl, where they had that macadamia nut, which actually that's one reason why Longhorns and I might go there, to get some coffee from there. They have that macadamia nut coffee, and it's fantastic. And it's not like just like a cheap flavored brew. It's a light, very light macadamia taste to it. So, you know, I'm off the Illy for now. I'm off the Illy, I'm off the Lavazza. Those are pretty good, but honestly, I think the coffee at the Sarni's is better than like Lavazza and Segafredo. It's that good. You know, it's when you taste it and you go, oh, this is good coffee. You know, that's how good it is. People are coming in here. You see? Human beings are now like cows. Gather around the chute, everybody. My wife made some a while back. They got some decent muesli, and we just throw a little, sometimes we'll throw a little granola in there, or throw a little chocolate granola in there, and it really spices it up. The kids like it. Took a shower, and now I gotta take a dump. Beautiful. Well, it's past 10:30, and your girl's late. So I think you have to fire her. And do you need, see, this is what I mean, Longhorns. We were talking about this yesterday. You don't need to come in and tell us, you know, that you're gonna go take a dump. Keep it classy. You know, believe it or not, I used to have a little bit of class. Tripped and fell. Yeah, keep it classy, you know. We don't need to be talking about that. I'm past that. Longhorn's just living the dream. All he does every day is lay in bed and go to Central Embassy and look for the pork. What was that pork that we saw yesterday? Where was that we went? The big rows of the, what the hell is that pork called? Forget what it is. I can't even remember. I can't remember it in English, and I can't remember it in Thai. I remember what it's called. I lost too many of my brain cells when I was young. No. This is like big, thick skin on the outside, and it's a big, huge roll of pork that's soft and flavorful. But they had like 5 rows of them. Where did we go? Oh, we went to Siam Paragon. That's where it was. We don't need to know about your bodily functions. I'm going to ban those words. Well, it is a pork belly, but I don't think they call it that. There's a phrase for it. I can't remember what it's called. I'm thinking about it in Thai as well. It's really tasty. Remind me to ban the word defecate, Longhorns, and also dump. I got to block those words. We don't need to hear that. It conjures up nasty images. If anything, we want images of beautiful young ladies to come up. We don't want the sight of you sitting on a can taking a dump to be conjured up every time that word comes up. Well, why do we need to know? Why do we need to know about somebody's got to take a dump? Why? What is this fascination with, I need to go purge? Don't we have anything else to talk about? We've talked for an hour and a half about a number of things. I would think that we don't need to talk. Now, you want to talk about the bum gun and how it relates? You know, I did see something the other day on Twitter, and they said, for the life of me, I don't understand how Americans and Europeans, some Europeans, and Westerners can call themselves civilized when they're walking around with stinky asses. Quick, who's that, Longhorns? He doesn't care. He's in love. Madly in love. He doesn't even, his eyes don't, he has no eyes for other ladies. Anyway, guys, gals, are there any ladies out there? There's only like 2 or 3 girls that ever watch this show, the stream. How can we change that? Can we start talking about, that's pretty funny. The bum gun should be on the Thai flag. It should be. Might have to put that in my logo. Might have to make a logo up and put the bum gun on it. In my name. In one of the T's. The end of the T will be, it'll turn into a spray, and on the T there'll be a little handle. Oh, it's raining. You know what's so funny? You can come walk right in here. Nobody asks you to check your temperature. Nobody cares. You don't sign in anything. But when you come in here, they got a guy standing there making sure you check your temperature. You know, one thing that I was wondering is, how is Sweden doing now? Because, I mean, and also Denmark. I thought Denmark was going to completely open up. No lockdowns, no nothing. And what about Sweden, who, oh man, it's coming down now. You know what I think I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to market Malin's bum gun. Billy's bum gun. I have to market a little portable bum gun. Man, it's coming down hard now. It really is. Look how hard it's raining. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm not going out there now. No way. Well, you know, you could just install a Japanese toilet. Those are the creme de la creme, so to speak. It's what I want, but I have no water pressure in my house. Water pressure is piss poor. Actually, I think my piss has more pressure than the water pressure in my house. Oh, that poor girl's getting soaked. Oof. Too bad I brought my camera today. I'm going to start carrying my camera with me all the time like I used to. My little Minolta. It's not waterproof though. Put that outside, it'll be ruined in a matter of moments. Oh, this poor woman. She's like, well, I'm out of luck. It's a hard Bangkok rain. It's a good reason to stay here. Rain too much. There's no way I'm going out there now. Good luck there, Longhorns. Have fun. You'll be sitting in a car. Use the concierge. If you go to the shopping center, they should have a concierge. At the one Central, I forget which one it is. Central Chitlom. They used to have one there. Anyway. Well, guys and girls, look at this. They got Fila. They're selling Fila bottles in here. What the? Fila must have struck a deal with Starbucks. They got a bag, they got the bottles, they got all kinds of stuff. Wow. Yeah, I don't mind. You know, that's another reason I don't want to go out in the protest. Because you know it's going to rain. Look at this poor guy, he's soaked. Another one, look at this guy, he's soaked. He's like, screw it, I'm soaked. I'm going to get sick, and it's going to look like I got COVID, and everybody's going to hate me. They're all going to want to walk away from me. Just like when you get in an elevator, they'll turn around and don't want to face you. They don't even want to look at you. Crazy. And the music is quite appropriate. One thing I miss about the United States is going into some little run-down little diner and they're playing music like this or Patsy Cline or something like that. I miss that. But they got great coffee and great, like, you know, bacon and hash browns, runny eggs. Miss that, man. All these people just getting soaked. I don't have a umbrella here with me. Anyway, you know, you guys can come over. It's going to be open October 1st. It says they're open for vaccinated tourists but no quarantine. But some activities require COVID pass, but restaurants and bars don't need a pass since September. What's a COVID pass from Denmark? What does that entail? That you show that you've been vaccinated? what are all these people standing around now? They must be drying. Poor old lady. It's like 90 years old, just soaking wet. Well, yeah. You know, this is another reason why sometimes you plan to do stuff, like going to some old coffee shop, you know, an hour away, hour and a half away from my house, and you get in that area, you're on a boat and it starts pouring rain. You know. This must be the redneck country and western tape that they got playing. Yeah, when it rains here, if it, like lately, what I've noticed is when it rains, normally it's only for a few minutes. It's like maybe 20, 30 minutes. But lately, when it's been raining, you get a little period of time when it rains for like a couple of hours and it's flooded and it's a mess. Listen, after the stream yesterday, Longhorns and I went to, where did we go? We went up to Starbucks. Yeah, we went to his watch place and we went to Starbucks. And then we went out and got a taxi and went over to Central Lot Prow, across the street from Central Lot Prow, where all the I needed to get some film. And that place is dead over there. I'm not going to Oregon for anything. There ain't a chance in hell I'll go to Oregon. Beautiful place, but I don't want to deal with I don't want to be in, I just don't want to be there. You know, I've said it before, but I had a chance to go to Oregon and work there. I had a temp job. I was making like 20 bucks an hour as a cutter in a big, huge print shop. All I did all day, yeah, right. Why don't you just tell her to crawl into bed with you? All I did all day was just cut paper all day long. It was a bit boring, but you know what? I needed the money. I was making okay money back then, and there was OT, a little bit of OT. So you know that was like 30 bucks an hour. I was like, all right, you know, this is all right. And when the job ended, they said, would you like to go? We don't have a job, we don't have a position for you here I was in Seattle. We don't have a position here for you. However, if you'd like to go to Portland, we can put you in a spot there, you know. It's a good job. And I said, no, thank you. And I didn't know, I had no clue back then. All I knew was Portland, it's out in it's all the woods. It's going to be nothing but woods, and who knows what it's going to be like there. And I was like, fuck that, I'm going back to Thailand. I'm glad I did. Live in Thailand in 2021 or live in Portland, Oregon? No. Land of the liberal. No, I would not. I enjoy it here. Even though it's raining cats and dogs right now. I'll let you do that, Longhorns. You can have Australia. You can have California. What's that song? I forget who it is. You can have this, you can have that, you can have... I think it's a Tom Petty song. Well, you can have... Yeah, I don't remember. I don't understand why Starbucks is constantly wheeling around their garbage from place to place. Or maybe they just put a bunch of junk in the bag. They have like one person who takes care of the garbage. I don't know, I wouldn't say that. Cheap Charlies in Australia? Listen, Australia, aside from America, the cheap Charlies in Australia, they're the ones who watch the most and contribute the most to my channel. It's the United States, well actually it's the United States, Thailand, Australia, UK, and then where? It varies from month to month. Yeah, well, I mean, listen, Australia's diverse also. You know. You know, you got the Outback, you got the Great Barrier Reef, you got the monster crocs, you got, you know. I don't know. Listen, I got nothing against Australia or Australians, but I do have something against police that are heavy-handed and they don't even listen. You try to state your case with them and they're like, no. It's like, what do you mean no? If you listen with your ears and not your mouth, maybe you would understand what the reality is. And I see this all the time in the videos. Numerous videos I've seen from there, and they're trying to explain logically, hey, listen, this is the deal here. And the cops, no, I'm writing you a ticket. They just want that money, You go, Monash. Just got the numbers for today in Thailand, which I don't even care about anymore. Really, I don't care. I just don't care about the numbers here anymore. It is what it is. We're not in the middle of a pandemic anymore. This illness it's an endemic. It's endemic. What are all these people standing around for? They must be waiting to dry out. Well, I understand that. The same thing goes with me in America. I mean, and the same with Thailand. I'll be the first to admit I bash Thailand and the government, but there are a hell of a lot of good things here. You can't deny that. And there's something to be said for the fact that, you walk down the street and 99.9% of the time, nobody, even police, dare bother you. I can be my own little world. You think about it, I can walk and walk and walk, and the only thing I do is say, hello, sawadee krap. People say sawadee krap to me, smile, and I just keep walking. I don't get any grief, I get nothing. And I love that. And even like yesterday, like Longhorns and I were in this taxi, and the guy proceeded to tell us everything he knew about every place that we were talking about. What are they doing? Checking people? No, he's just, I see. The guy's got a mask. He's got his mask and he's got gloves on. He's got the face shield. Oh, he's helping him with the umbrellas. That's what it is. One good thing about this place is if I go out and I got some groceries, I walk out and I'm going to go get a taxi. Some guy will run up. He's got a big umbrella, like a big umbrella. No chance of me getting wet. This huge umbrella. And, you know, it's like, okay, where are you going? Oh, I'm going over here. Okay. And he'll walk me out to the taxi with my groceries, put the groceries in my taxi, tell them where I'm going, and I don't get wet at all. That's one thing that I do like about this place. If I get a load of groceries, most of the time there's a guy out that will help you with your groceries. He'll put all the groceries that you'll need. Who's they? Who's saying you need 5? All I know is I need like 4. I've already had 2. I need a booster that's like Moderna or Pfizer, and then I need one after that so that I have 2 of a U.S. approved vaccine. I'm headed your way. I just retired. A few months I'll be there. Udon. Fauci. Why are you going to live in Udon? You got a chick there? You got a woman there or something? You know, that's the only thing I can think of. Do you have a girlfriend or a wife there? Oh man, she's eating it right now. Oh, she looked like she walked a mile in the rain. She's dying. Did she get in? And she's in now. Oh, she's drenched. Honestly, I think most of the time the customer service is good, but I think there are times when it's lacking. If you need something done, I'll give you an example. My buddy has an apartment. He's very proud that he got this new apartment. He moved to this apartment. It's a huge apartment, complex rather. But his apartment's not very big, but it's nice. And he's got the key card. You know, he's got the key card to go up, key card to go down. You can't go anywhere without a key card. He tries to go downstairs. His key card doesn't work. Well, he can't get downstairs. He's on like 24th floor. You think he wants to go down the stairs? Now, he doesn't have their phone number. He's going to have to look up their phone number. He finally gets a hold of him. He says, listen, you're going to have to fix this for me. He can't even get into his place. So they did something, then he can get into his place, but he can't go downstairs. They're like, we're going to have to fix this tomorrow. He's like, tomorrow? Yeah, we're going to have to fix this tomorrow, so I can't go anywhere today. Okay. They don't have another card they just give to them. They run it through, and it's all set up. They got to do something. And when it comes to planning things out, they're not the best. Their websites suck most of the time. They've always got issues with their websites. And I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 days before he got it to the point where he was able to go back downstairs. He's stuck in his place, he can't go anywhere. So when it comes to service, it's like, listen, I've had some great service here, fantastic service. For the most part, I'd say yes, you're right. There's a lot of good service here. There's also some places that really need to take a better look at what they're doing. So what does that mean? You know some doctors and nurses in Udon, and why would that mean you're going to go live there, or you're just going there to visit and to move somewhere else? I lived in Udon, and this is before the mall was really big or anything. The mall was just a crappy little mall back in the day. And there weren't, it was definitely, there were no bars, there was nothing like that. I don't know anything about Novavac. I know nothing about it. Yeah, I mean, I lived in Udon Thani for a year and a half or so. I lived out in a village for about 6 months, and then I had an apartment for a year. And I mean, you know, go there for a couple of days, it's fine, but go there to live there, you know, be a little bored. Although with the shopping mall now is quite a bit better than it was when I was there. When I was there, like I said, it was much different, much different. I lived there back, how long ago was it? 26 years ago? I hadn't been living here all that long. It was quite a bit different. You know, the city center was different. I used to go to a little restaurant that was like, you know, it was a Thai style place where they had some music, and if you wanted booze to drink, you know, you either bought a beer or you bought a drink, you know, like whiskey with mixers and stuff like that. You know, I liked Nong Khai better than Udon Thani. You know, I mean, it was a quiet place. It was a quiet place. And, you know, really, I've said something before, I've said it many times, I'd rather live in the south than in the north. I'd rather live in the south of Thailand than in Isan. I mean, that's just my own preference. I like the south much better. Well, you know, that's the thing. Any city, you can usually find a group of guys, you know, group of people, which is good, you know. I mean, I got a handful of friends here that, yeah, a handful that I know for many, many years, and obviously some from YouTube, and it's enough. You know, I only have so much time in the day, you know, so. Still raining. I think the bulk of the people have come in because it's after 11 now, and the whole mall is opened up now. Yeah, I mean, really, it's even my wife and I were talking about it, and it's like, we actually talked about just plowing down the house she has on the land there, and putting up something, just building something, whether it's I don't know how would we do it, little Thai style house, but you know, over there, down there where she's at, they got everything is a concrete. Yeah, I'll take the South, man. Honestly, I'll take the South any day. I don't know what it is. I just prefer it. I prefer the like the jungle and the ocean to, you know, rice fields and mountains. What's this? CJ Lopez, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me read your question here. Scott, is there any chance that things will get back to normal Thailand soon? I miss my Thailand. I was married there before. Well, you know, I don't know if you heard what I was saying in the beginning of this stream, but October 1st, they're supposed to start letting people in to like restaurants. They're going to make it mandatory that they're vaccinated. I don't know how that's going to work out. But January 1st, they're talking about, well, this is the Tourism Authority of Thailand, which it still would need to go through the appropriate channels and be approved in the Royal Gazette, and you know, it's a procedure. But they want January 1st, they want everything to open up with no quarantine to people who are fully vaccinated. So this is why I said, if you don't want to get vaccinated, it's your prerogative. I understand it. You don't want to get vaccinated, no skin off of my back, you know. I mean, really, it's up to the person. That's my opinion. It's your preference. But on the other hand, you know damn well the government's going to be like, sorry, you need to be vaccinated to come into the country. So if you're not vaccinated, you're not getting in. It's simple as that. They're going to be like, sorry. But thank you very much, CJ, Choke D. I mean, I've been through all, like, well, really, I mean, I've been a lot of places in Thailand over the years. Some of them I remember, some of them I didn't particularly like. You know, this is the feel I didn't like or whatever, or some places I really did like. Isan, you know, Isan, listen, it's not that it's a bad place, I like it. I mean, it's nice. And the people are friendly, you know, and there's good food and all that stuff. But like I said, I prefer the jungles and the beaches over rice fields. And while I do like the Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai area up there, I like the places that I was walking through and some of the other places that I've been that were further south. And I always liked Masot, but I don't know that I don't know there's anything for me to do there now. I used to go there. There used to be a big event there. I used to go every year, and I don't even know if it's still going on now. But you know, I like down by Kanchanaburi, and over by Sangklaburi. I liked Sangklaburi a lot. I like the areas where you have a mixture of people. You know, you got all kinds of people there. You got Burmese, you got Thais, you got Mon. You have all kinds of different ethnicities. Mesot, there's a market there. It was good for photography for a while. You can cross over and go to Miyawadi into Myanmar, and that was pretty cool when I first went there. But you know, I've done it, and now Mesot is completely locked down. If you go there, you gotta quarantine for 2 weeks. There is no I'm vaccinated, I've got both vaccinations, I've got one vaccine. No, you go to Mesot. It's because it's on the border, and there are people leaking in, and so they make it difficult when you come in. And I don't even know if they're flying in there anymore. They weren't flying. They flew in, and then they stopped flying in, and then they started flying in again, and I believe they stopped flying again. I don't think they're flying in now anywhere over there. But I always went by bus, and even that's a bit of a bitch because of the windy mountains, the mountain roads. I don't want to go back there now, but I mean, you know, I've been there many times, but I do like when you go to Kanchanaburi and you go over and you go to like Three Pagoda Pass and Punamron. I like that whole area, the vibe. It was peaceful, but you know, it was still lively enough to. There was still some life to it. It didn't seem. Massaud is a bit of a ghost town at times. You know, you could go through the town, you'd be just like, well, you know, what's going on here? There's not much going on, especially at night. Forget about it, you know. So. Yeah, now the mall's peaceful. Yeah, I just remember being on the bus and it wasn't very comfortable. I like to be kind of peaceful on a bus where you're sitting there, you're chilled, and there's no real major bumps in the road, and you're not flying all over the place. But man, when you take that in the bus, it's you're constantly swaying back and forth because of the winding roads. But there's a couple places that I may go in the near future, and well, there's good food right across the border also, which is where I like to go. I'm in the Miyawadi about 4 or 5 times. This is another thing. I would like to go into Myanmar, but not now. In fact, Longhorns and I were talking about it. It'd be great to go there, but not now. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Not to mention it is a little bit dangerous too, you know. I mean, every place has its positives and negatives, you know. When I first came here, I went up to Ma Ping, and you know, that was like a dream to me. I might as well been, what's the name of that movie? Apocalypse Now. I might have been the guy in Apocalypse Now. I might have been Dennis Hopper or whatever, Charlie Sheen. You know, going up the river, I was like, man, this is fantastic. And then I get there and there's an elephant there waiting to pick me up. And I'm like, what? I'm on an elephant? What the hell? And they're like, yeah, you don't want to go through these mountains. Okay. That was one of my most memorable trips, really. And that was long before I got married, long before I didn't speak much Thai. And it was just, that was fantastic. I go into the village and, you know, they're peddling opium and it's like, okay, you're sleeping up here, and they gave you like a big mat. Sleep on this mat. Here's a big thick blanket because it did get very cold there. And that's what I mean. There's all kinds of places. Like I got so many good memories from here. I got Kokut with my family. Great place. Khao Sop. Great place. You know, we've been to Surat Thani many times. We've been there with the whole family, and you know, just the train trip alone is fun. You know, I mean, so yeah, there's some fantastic things to do here. And the older I get, the more I want my family to be with me. I want like at least one of my kids with me or something like that, just so that they can experience it. You know. Thank you very much, G-Man. Wrecked. Wrecked. I don't know what that means. Wrecked. Or wrecked, like I'm wrecked. Yeah, I'm wrecked. But thank you and Choke D, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. I'm trying to think of all these other places I've been. I mean, I lived in Phuket for a year, a little more than a year. Wrecked, like wasted. Oh, I got it. Thanks, Jared. You know, I've been to, what was it, Prachuap Khiri Khan a couple times. I like it there. It's peaceful. That's like a kind of a place I could probably live. Very peaceful, mellow. But there's enough to do. There's enough coffee shops, enough good food. I wouldn't get bored real easily. You know, yeah, there's a lot to do here. Just the other day, my wife found a place in Lamphun. And she's like, maybe we should go here. And I'm like, what about the kids? They're in school. Yeah, but they don't have to go to school. And I'm like, okay, so what about the cat and the dog? I'm like, it means we got to leave the kids behind. And anytime I say that, she's like, you know, she's a mother. She doesn't want to leave the kids behind. I'm like, they're old enough. They got schoolwork to do. They got things to do. They don't want to go. They don't want to be with us. I just asked my kid yesterday, okay, so listen, you haven't been out that much lately. Things are opening up. I went to a place with Longhorns today. We had a fantastic breakfast. How would you like to meet up with us? And, you know, like we'll all go out and we'll have some food together. I'd rather go out with my friends. We're old men to them, you know, so I have to, what I was saying to both Longhorns and my kids, where I'm just going to tell you you're going and you're going to go whether you like it or not. That's how it's going to work. Because if I don't, they'll never go with me. They'll go with their friends, and they'll go to their friends. They'll go somewhere to eat in a mall. You know, I want them to experience some more thing. It's near Hua Hin. For Joe Kirk, I'm talking about the city. Got a nice little boardwalk there. Not Lamphun. Different place. That was my first comment to her. You mean Lampang? She's like, no, Lamphun. Lamphun, but it's a little bit south of Chiang Mai. And, you know, they have all kinds of cool places to stay and stuff like that. My wife stayed in a place in Kanchanaburi. It was like they have like these nice tents that are set up. And, you know, there's not like air conditioning or anything like that because it's cooler up over there. But she stayed in this one place that, you know, it's nothing but tents. And she was like, oh, you got it. She showed me, you know, she's streaming it to me. Check this out. I was like, oh, it's awesome. So there's all, you know, the thing for me, honestly, is I want to find stuff that to me is new, and it's also, yeah, I'm interested in it. Why would I not do something? Why do something that you're not interested in, you know? But as the old lady says to me, as my wife says to me all the time, she's like, you know, maybe you just go do it and see what happens. Which, you know, I've said to, I forget what the place was where I said, it was not long ago. I said, oh, I've already been here. I've been here many times. I don't know. And, you know, and then I went there and I was like, wow, it's completely different than it used to be. You know, so got to come up with some places to go and things to do and people to see and restaurants to eat at, you know. It's nice to do a little bit of planning. Well, there's a organic farm there that you can stay at and stuff like that. You know, you go in there and get like, you know, they make you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's all super fresh and healthy, and you know, it's a beautiful area. Yeah, I'm not going to some elephant reserve. I won't go there. You know, there's the one place that they rehabilitate the elephants, and okay, you know, if I could help an elephant out. Down where I lived before, my wife's brother had an elephant. I photographed it, and it was helping clear the land basically, they put a big harness on it, and the thing has to rip out some of the trees, and then they use it to plow and all this other kind of stuff on the hills. And then, a couple of years ago, my wife goes, "Remember my brother? Was it her brother or brother-in-law's? You remember his elephant?" I said, "Yeah, it died. They don't know why, but it died." And I'm like, "Oh, that sucks." What are you going to do? They're going to use them, they're going to use them regardless of what people think. And the one thing that, when I first came here, there were elephants in the street all the time. You'd be walking around and there'd be some guy with a bunch of bananas or whatever else he had, sugar cane. And you could feed the elephants. And it was a bit of a distraction. No, it wasn't COVID. This is before COVID. But they banned elephants from being in Bangkok, on the streets of Bangkok, which is a good thing. Yeah, I don't know. I just think animals get a raw deal. Animals get a raw deal, really, especially here. Fortunately, there are some people who really do care about the animals and dogs and elephants and tigers. And I'm not talking about the tiger. What was it? The hell was the name of that place? Not the farm, not the Tiger Farm. I forget what it was called. The place in the place that that had the monks, and they said that the tigers were our friends. The one that I said, this is a reason why you don't go here. And then a couple of years later, they found all these frozen tiger embryos and all kinds of stuff. I forget the name of it now off the top of my head, but on a good note, the tigers in that, what is it? What's the name of that? Kang, what is it? Hua Kang or something like that. Trip on the river with your family on one of those restaurant boats. We've done that before. We did that. Me and my wife did it. There's something else I wanted to do too. They have a bus that goes around and shows all the sights, and while you're on the bus, they feed you like a 6-course gourmet meal. That's something. There's all kinds of things I want to do. That's the thing. And getting my family together is like wrangling up a bunch of Wolverines. That's exactly what it's like. It's like you got one that's like, I don't want to go anywhere. I got to study, and I got an early class tomorrow, so no, I don't want to go, but thank you. Like yesterday. Nothing against you guys. I just want to hang out. Yeah, Tiger Temple. I don't know why that escaped me. Nothing against you guys, but I want to go out with my friends. Kanchanaburi, yeah. I don't think it was right there in Kanchanaburi. I think it was a little bit out of it or something. I forget exactly where it was. I haven't thought about it in a long time, because once they got shut down, I was like, that's a good thing. But the tiger population in the wild, I think it's Hua Kang or something like that, the national forest. Supposedly the numbers are up there. They're up to about 400 tigers in the forest there. So that's good. Anyway, It's been a long stream. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. I'm not sure the next stream where I'll be, what I'll be doing, what's going on. I don't know. Not sure yet. Depends on the weather. Depends. I wanted to go somewhere with Longhorns. He wanted to go somewhere. We've got a couple of places that we're thinking about. Raymond, thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for watching. I'm not quite sure what, I may go it alone, I don't know. We may go to Chinatown and Pahurat. We may go to Talat Noi. We may go on the river somewhere, the Chao Phraya. I don't know. Yeah, there's all kinds of things to do. It feels like I'm experiencing a new Bangkok now. We might just go have tea at the Oriental Hotel. I don't know. But there is an old place, old restaurant that's something like 120 years old. We may go to that. We may go to the other coffee shop that's like 115 years old or something like that. I'm not sure. You're welcome, Dalo. Thank you. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Stuck in traffic. I see. It's been shut down for years, man. They shut it down. The monk is on the run. He's an escaped fugitive. It's true. The monk, he pilfered the coffers, and they found all kinds of dirty information on him. So that place is shut down, and it's good. Listen, the last time I went to, I can't remember where it was I went. I don't know if it was the crocodile farm, which now is supposedly shut down again. It was going to shut down. Then they said, no, we're not going to shut down. And then I heard it was shut down, but I don't know. But that place, the elephants there didn't look healthy. They look like they're about to lose it, and that's my thing. It's like you got a couple of kids that are walking across the field, and the next thing you know, this elephant just goes running over and tramples them. And I don't know if you guys remember when I went to Ayutthaya, there was, oh, well, good. Glad you could join us. But I was walking along, and out in the field was this lone elephant. I don't know if you guys remember this. Just one little elephant. It wasn't little, but one. I mean it, kind of sarcastically. Just one little elephant, and he's swaying back and forth. He's been out there all afternoon. No water, no nothing. Now maybe he didn't need any water right away. I understand, but you just got him there. He's chained up to the ground. He can't go anywhere. And then some guy drives by and goes, don't get too close to him. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry. I'm not going to walk over and start petting the thing. He's like, don't get close to it. That elephant is belligerent. And I'm like, well, I'd be belligerent too if I was locked down to the ground and couldn't go anywhere. So anyway, thank you for joining me. That's all I have. I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. We'll talk later. I'll see you when I see you. Hopefully we'll be out and about exploring Bangkok. So yeah, Choke D, Leo Jerkan Mai, that's good luck, and until next time, ciao babe. Ciao baby. See you guys later.